Hello, my friend. Welcome to live chat. Oh, today is going to be, here we go, off into the controversial zone. Dee 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 dee. Dee 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 doo. This has been heavy on my heart. And, when something, I'm thinking about something a lot, my favorite thing to do is to come to the community and say, well, what do you think about this? Is this something that like, I'm just imagining, or is there a reason behind it? Like, what is going on? Because I feel like when I talk to the community, I learn so much and I get so many other perspectives. So today we're going to be talking about just influencer launches in general and why it seems like when an influencer something bad happens, there's almost a celebration. And I just think that's weird. Like people are like almost happy that they're going through a bad time. It's like, I'm wondering if it's because of the specific person or if it's just influencers in general. Are people just tired of larger influencers, or like what is happening? I don't know. I've been thinking about it a lot lately, so I wanted to talk to you about it. But before we do, let's quickly say hello to the people that are here live in the collective brain of Makeup Awesomeness, people that are here in live chat. If you are not here live, you are still participating in the collective brain by commenting your thoughts down in the comments down below. I would love to know what you are thinking on this topic. So let me just go ahead and say hello very quickly to Yasu Cherry. Good morning to you. Classically Diana, good morning. Good morning, Sherry. Good to see you. Good to see you, Lisa. Good morning. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you, Lisa, for that tip. Good morning to Teresa and the rest of the Mod Squad. Welcome to live chat. Thank you, Teresa. And thank you to everybody else for being here, the moderators. I appreciate you so very much giving up your Sunday mornings to help me. I really appreciate it. Katie, good morning to you, friend. Good to see you. Thriving and Beyond, good morning. And who did I miss? Samantha. And Mel, I hope your head feels better soon. I think I read in your comment under What's Up in Makeup that your head's not feeling well. I hope that you feel better very, very soon. And Jen Unboxed, good morning to you. If I did not say good morning to you, good morning. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. So kind of what triggered this was me kind of going back and spending a little bit more time on Twitter and reading some things, and I should know better. I just feel like, I've been through Manny's launch, through Jacqueline's launch. When things didn't go perfectly, I just felt like the tone was a little weird. It wasn't like, oh man, that really sucks that things didn't go the way they expected. It was like almost like a celebration, like a yay, like they're getting what they deserve, And it was weird. And then the other thing that really made me want to do this chat is that somebody commented on the video that I did on Hiram's launch of his skincare line. And it brought me back to that video. And I went into the comments underneath Hiram's, the video that I did talking about Hiram's line. And my video was actually quite positive in that, I felt like the product, when it comes to the launch of the products, it was quite positive in that, I supported that he was following his dream to launch a skincare brand. And when you go down in the comments, the most popular comments for that video are ones that talk about him negatively. And like, I guess because I have had personal interactions with Hiram, that I feel like almost bad for him, because it's like he's following his dream and people were like celebrating that people were crapping on the brand. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like, if you didn't watch the video, I felt like the products really weren't made for me. They were meant more for Hiram's target audience, more younger skin. But as far as the launch, I was really happy for him. And I got a lot of crap for saying I was happy for him, which I thought was weird. Like, shouldn't we as a society be like happy for small businesses? Like when somebody's following their dream, I don't think that I feel like sometimes we default to the cash grab mentality, that it's all about making money, when sometimes I feel like if you're in the makeup space, you're in the skincare space, I feel like it's a dream to be able to come out with a collab with a brand or to come out with your own products. And it may not be just about money. I mean, of course, it could be about money, but in the end, we don't really know. the motivation of these influencers to come out with their own brands. And I don't know, like, it's just hitting me weird. And I wanted to talk to you about it because it's just like, I feel like maybe I'm missing something or what. I don't know. Jen Unbox says, I feel like people in general feel like influencers get things too easy without putting in the work to get what they have in life. Not that that's a true perception. So like maybe like estheticians or practicing makeup artists, celebrity makeup artists, maybe they deserve it more because they've been in the industry longer and that influencers kind of popped onto the scene. And then now they get these wonderful opportunities to create their own brands when people that maybe have more training deserve it more. Is that where we're going, Jen? Because I can kind of see that point. And kind of my response to that would be like, what would be stopping them from doing that? I guess influencers, like, okay, so for example, like some of these larger influencers, they have management teams that get them opportunities. So maybe we're saying that these professionals in the field that have been doing it for a long time and are well respected within their industry, that we may not know their names because maybe we're not in that industry, maybe because they don't have the same marketing teams, that maybe they deserve it more. I think that's an interesting point and something that I definitely want to explore. Aaron says people are just brutal and influencers are easy targets. I think that they can be easy targets because they're public figures, so they put themselves in that situation, But I feel like we're all human beings, Heather agrees with Aaron. Yeah, Doozy says it just feels gross when people celebrate failures unless there's malice on the influencer's behalf. Yeah, I agree. Afra says, I think with Jacqueline's failures, it's just frustration that she has problems with 70% of her releases and she never learns anything from them, yet she sells whatever she pushed out. Yeah, and it does seem like there is a problem with each release. But I want to challenge the thinking of that she never learns from her mistakes. Is she truly making the same mistakes over and over, or is it just different mistakes in the same industry? So like, for example, like the hairy lipstick thing where there were actual like projectiles in the lipstick, like pieces of weird things in the lipsticks. That has not happened since then. So that mistake hasn't been repeated. Like what is, and I'm genuinely curious. I'm not trying to like be negative in any way, but I'm genuinely curious because you're not the only person I've seen say this. And not just in this situation, in many situations where someone says this person keeps making the same mistake. Is it the same mistake? What is the repeated mistake specifically? That's what I'm curious about. I'm not like, arguing. I'm just curious what the specific mistake is because maybe I'm just not thinking of it. Thriving and Beyond says, such a complex and interesting topic. So many factors involved. I agree. Personal, parasocial, emotional investments. I think that's part of it, definitely. Prior influencer behavior, judgment, expectations, honor, or lack thereof. This really sums it up well. For such a complex topic, you really summed it up very well as far as the factors involved. And I'm sure there's other ones that you didn't mention, but I think you nailed a lot of them. Anna says, right, I'm not Hiram's target audience, so I don't have much to say about his brand. Yeah. And I still use, the only product I still use that I purchased that I kept for myself was the retinol product, even though I do feel like he marketed it more toward acne prone skin, but retinol can help for anti-aging purposes. So I've been using that mostly because I trust the retinol in it. Hopefully, I don't know if I should trust the retinol in it, but I do. And I really love the applicator. It's got that little pointy applicator and I just run it down my finger and it's a nice applicator and it feels good on the skin and I really like it. And I'm hoping that it's doing something good for my skin. I don't use it all the time, but I use it, once a week, once every couple weeks or so. Yeah, Andrea says people can't be happy for others. It's sad. And I think that part of it is kind of what Thriving and Beyond was saying a minute ago is that, the prior influencer behavior definitely impacts how happy you are for someone when they have success or failure. I think that's part of it. But I think that we have, I don't know. Okay, so this is a question too, are we seeing the celebration of failure more because it is a negative thing? Is there just as much celebration for success as there is celebration of failure? But we only see the negative because it's negative and we're human beings and we tend to focus on negative things. That's another question as well. I don't know if that made sense. It made sense in my mind, so hopefully I articulated it okay. Yeah, Sherry says we should be building people up, not tearing them down, especially when they're following their dreams. Yeah, totally. And I am definitely guilty of being part of not celebrating, but bringing attention and negative attention to problems. And I think my motivation a lot of times is just to share information, but I definitely have contributed to sharing negative things about brands when they launch. So I can't say that I'm like innocent of any of this. I've tried, I think that as I've gotten older and more experience with things, I've launched my own small company. I think that and I've also gone through my own share of, controversy and mistakes. So I think that I have more empathy than I used to before I went through a bunch of things and before I launched my own small brand. So I think that my my thinking about things and my perspective has changed a bit since I used to be a lot harder. But that doesn't mean that I'm still not going to bring attention to when I do have a negative experience. Like, for example, today with REM Beauty, I wouldn't say it as a negative customer service experience, but it kind of made me go, oh, like I'm it was like, I think that the person working at customer service at REM Beauty was following directions. I don't blame them at all. It's more the strategy of dealing with customers not being able to get their orders in a timely way. I think that it was a weird choice. I don't want to go, well, just basically there was going to be a delay on my REM Beauty order. So I asked them if they could swap out the product that was delaying it. They said no. Asked them if they could take it out. They said no. I asked them if they could swap it out. They said no. And then I was like, well, there's no point in me reviewing REM Beauty in the middle of December. So I asked them if they could just cancel my order. And they were like, maybe, we'll try to cancel it, but we don't know if it's actually going to cancel, even though it's not even supposed to ship until beginning of December. It's just weird. But I don't blame the person at customer service. I really do think that they're just following directions from, their boss or whatever. But it's just a weird choice for a brand new brand to not, process refunds, but like I said in What's Up Makeup, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know what their system's like. I know what my personal system is like for refunds and stuff, and it's super easy to like swap things out, but I'm a very small brand, so it's a totally different situation. So, and I recognize that, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely still going to my point was I'm definitely still going to bring attention to things when I feel like something's messed up, but I feel like I used to kind of blow it up a little more than I think I will from here forward, just because I have a different perspective than I used to. Yeah, Heather says I haven't bought anything from Jaclyn almost. I have bought anything from Jaclyn almost, but it doesn't seem like good quality. I've heard mixed reviews on things. I've heard great things about the highlighters. My biggest thing that I've heard about Jaclyn Cosmetics is just that the shade range isn't for everyone. I've heard that as a common complaint, but I've heard good things about a lot of the formulas. I personally was not a fan of the liquid lipstick formula. It was a little too dry for me, a little too sticky for me, but it's not the driest, stickiest lipstick I've ever used. Melinda says, if you're going into business for yourself, it's about money. It may also be because it's what you really want to do, but you have to make money doing it too. Oh, totally. Like if you're starting a business, in order to make it sustainable, you have to be able to make money off of it. So yeah, but it's what is the primary motivating factor? Is it a cash grab? Is it just about the money? Or is it first and foremost because it's a dream come true? And then second, cool, I get to make money making my dreams come true. And we don't know these people personally, so it's like, who knows, Elizabeth says, I don't know that we want people to fail. People have been supportive of Auric, Lunar, and Lights Lacquer. Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on who you are, whether you've been supportive of Auric, Lunar, and Lights Lacquer. I think there definitely have been people that have not been supportive of those brands and have wanted, like not been hopeful of good things happening for those brands. I think it just depends on who it is. But I think that what we were saying earlier, with Thriving Beyond was saying, it's your personal feeling with those influencers. What's your experience? What kind of person do you feel they are based on what they've shown publicly? And if you like Samantha Ravindal, if you like Manny MUA, if you like Kathleen Lights, you're more likely to be supportive of their launches. But if you, for whatever reason, maybe they're public choices, maybe just a vibe you get, you're not a fan of those people, then, maybe you'll be more likely to want them to fail. Maybe. I don't know. That's what this is all about. Avis says it's like the opposite of a parasocial relationship. The haters forget these are real people and wish failure upon them like it can't be a life-ruining thing. Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, Avis, about remembering that they're people, and also that we don't know them. Like, we know what they've shared publicly, but there's so much to a person other than what they can share publicly, and it can be a life-ruining thing. I mean, you think about just the Jaclyn lipstick thing. Let's just use that as an example, because that was a really bad launch. And she admits that it was a bad launch. She admitted that she thought that she didn't handle it well, and I agree, she did not handle it well. But can you imagine the trauma that caused for Jaclyn? Like, and let's just focus on that for just a moment. Like, I know that there's many other factors. What about the customers? What about this? What about that? What about that? Let's just focus on Jaclyn. Like, can you imagine like working hard on something, whether it was for 2 years or not? Imagine working so hard on something, investing so much money in it, being so excited and so confident, and then to see your whole world come crashing down. When you think about Hiram and his, working with the Inky List, that he loves the Inky List, and creating this brand that was everything he believed in, being, selfless. He wanted to put out this message of being selfless and about donating and all of that. And then the reception of it was awful. So many people, saying that the images that he used was using those people to market his products, that the products were just marked up in order to donate, that the customers are just paying the buffer amount in order to donate the buffer amount instead of knocking down the price, that they really aren't being selfless, and I don't know. I mean, it's possible that he didn't predict that. I would imagine he didn't predict that. I would imagine Jaclyn didn't predict what was going to happen with her lipsticks. Manny with his shade range of his new bronzer palette. It was very clear, at least in my opinion, I very much believed his Instagram story when he looked so heartbroken and disappointed that people were disappointed in the shade range of the palette. That he felt like he tried so hard to make it a palette that everybody could use by putting those two shades in the middle in order to make it your perfect shade of bronzer, and it wasn't enough for some people, and he was absolutely heartbroken for that, and he felt like the criticism was valid, is what he said. But to see that crash down when you've worked so hard on something, these are real people. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So even when people make mistakes, understanding that they're real people with real feelings. So, yeah, Michael says the Jaclyn thing was her own fault, though. People were disgusted by the product they received, and the criticism was rightly deserved. As the owner of the buck stops with her. Oh, totally. I agree with you 100%. I feel like there was a lot dropped. And I think that in the end, like as in now, she's taking responsibility, even though she didn't initially. And the criticism was rightly deserved as the owner of the buck stops with her. But that feel like it doesn't make it any less crushing. And I think some people, there more than one thing can be happening at once. A brand owner can be taking responsibility and realizing that a mistake had happened and also feel crushed at the same time. And it's not them playing the victim. It's a human emotion to be excited about something, and then when it doesn't go well, to feel crushed about that. And I feel like that's a valid feeling to have. And a lot of people throw the playing the victim thing in when a person is crushed, because even though it was their fault, they still have a right to feel crushed about it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I agree with you though, Michael, but thank you for leading me on that little trail, because I think that's a really important point that I really wanted to make. Heather says, I believe in learning from past mistakes. I believe we all make them, and I believe everyone deserves positive, constructive feedback that allows everyone to grow. Don't write someone off completely. And I think sometimes we do feel like it is important to write someone off completely when someone has a behavior or a repeated behavior that just shows their character, and you feel like that's not a person that you think is a good person. There is a time, I feel like, when writing someone off completely may be appropriate for some people. You know, I do feel like there's a time to write someone off completely, but I think that's up to the individual person to decide when the deal breakers happen, when someone just crossed the line. And I think that's a personal life thing too. Sometimes we have people that enter our lives that, you know, we're friends with them or we know them through work or whatever, and they do something and it's like, eventually you just write the person off completely. And it's like, this is not a person that I want to choose to have in my life. Sometimes you can't get away from them, but sometimes it's you realize that that's just the way that the person is, and you decide to write them off completely. And I feel like that's a healthy choice sometimes, but it's up to the individual to decide when. Amy says, I'll say Jacqueline isn't maybe my favorite person, but I have bought things from her that are great. But because of past behavior, I don't buy from her right at launch. I wait and see how it goes. And I think that's really smart. And that's a way to kind of avoid some of the problems that may happen with a launch, potentially. That's smart. Yeah, Danielle says there's a self-righteous quality of Hiram that I can't get past. Excuse me. And I think that's a lot of people feel the exact same way. And I don't feel that from Hiram, and maybe it's because we've had personal conversation. I don't know, like, why, but my question is, because I know you're not alone, Danielle, you are among many, 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 many people. What is it about Hiram that makes you feel like that he has a self-righteous quality? Like, is it the name Selfless as a brand? Is it the way he talks? Is it the way that he critiques products? Is it the way that he calls himself a specialist? And a lot of people don't agree with that title. Like, what is it? I'm really curious. Or is it all of those things that makes you feel like he's suffering? So, because where I want to nail this to the wall is it because he is self-righteous, or is it because of different choices that he's made, that he may not be self-righteous, but maybe it's just the choices kind of make it appear that way? I don't know. Like, what am I trying to say? I love these conversations because I end up learning so much about the way other people think. And I think people are just fascinating. Jody says, if Jacqueline was more open from the get-go, I think customers would have been a lot more supportive. I agree. However, it's the negative reaction of some influencers, Gabby and Tana too, that leaves a bad taste. Yeah. And I think that, you know, she seems to have learned, in my opinion, she seems to have learned a lot from the lipstick thing, because she did not react well. And I think other influencers have learned from Jacqueline's mistakes too. So like, Manny started, like, when his palette came out and there was criticism about the shade range, at first he got a little defensive and he was showing pictures of other palettes and showed how his shade range was so much more inclusive than other palettes on the market. And that he was, honestly, in my opinion, the palettes he showed, if you really look at the bronzer palettes that are on the market, he showed, you know, what's out there, which are not inclusive bronzer palettes. I think that people were holding Manny to a higher standard because he's so big on inclusion and he's so big on making sure that he takes care of everyone with his brand. And I think people expected it to be more walking the walk that he always talks kind of thing. And I think that he thought that he nailed it. I really do. And it fell a little flat for some people. But I think that Manny, where I was going with this, is I think Manny learned from Jacqueline's mistakes and other people's mistakes, in that if you do realize you're being defensive, come back. He made a little video and said, I was being defensive. He admitted he was being defensive. He said, I hear you. He said, I will try to do better next time. You know, inclusivity is important to me. I'll try to do better next time. And I don't know if there was anything more he could have said instead of doubling down like Jacqueline had done, and the fuzzy gloves and all of the weirdness that was like, you know, he backed up as quickly as he could and tried to course correct, which I think is the best thing you can possibly do. You all have so much to say. I am going back and reading all of these because I have not, I cannot read all of them. There's so many good comments here. Pretty Accountant says, Hiram has 0 educational credentials, so I'm not taking skincare advice from him. For something this important, I prefer the advice of a professional. And you are definitely not alone there as well. I think that also it's important when we're talking about influencer brands to remember that they're not formulating them on their own. That, you know, they have labs that are doing this. And when the case of Hiram, he had the Inkey List helping him to formulate them. 0 educational credentials. Yeah. So I'm not taking skincare advice from him. And that makes perfect sense that you would rather go to someone like Carolyn Hirons or, you know, I can't think of anybody else right off the top of my head, Paula Bagone or Charlotte Tilbury, or, you know, somebody that has more training, or Dr. Dre, somebody that has more training, like that makes sense, or Lab Muffin Beauty Science. Why am I forgetting all my favorite people? So like, I get that. I mean, as far as the products go, they're definitely getting help from professionals in the area. But as far as his videos go, I get that. Why you wouldn't take skincare advice from him. What? Why are you laughing? My husband is giggling and I'm not sure why. Oh, okay. Anything that I should specifically highlight? No? Okay. Okay, Stephanie, this is an interesting perspective we haven't touched on yet. I think with influencers, people are so hard on them because at the end of the day, they're just one of us that made it big. And I feel there is some jealousy involved in that. Maybe, possibly. Well, I mean, I think it depends on the person. And I think people need to kind of look inside and figure out whether that's them or not. Maybe. I mean, but there are a lot of people that make it big in other industries too. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Jennifer says, are people maybe not using Manny's palette the correct way? I think that some people just didn't like the idea of having to use the shades, the dark shade and the light shade in order to make their perfect shade. I think they just wanted it to exist. Maybe. I could be wrong though. Correct me if I'm wrong. Jennifer says, I don't think Hiram is self-righteous. I just don't take skincare advice from someone so young with no qualifications. What works for a much younger person is not going to work for me. Yeah. And I think that one thing I do think is good about Hiram is I feel like he uses good sources for his information, that he gets information from reputable places. And it's very rare that I have watched a Hiram video where it doesn't match up with the things that I've read as a non-professional and from things I've heard from professionals, you know, from Lab Muffin Beauty Science, and, you know, Derm Review is another great website. You know, I feel like he gets his information from a good source, but the problem with people like me and Hiram is that the application, we may not understand the nuance of a lot of the application of skincare advice. So that limits our ability to suggest products. All we can really do, and I think Hiram's talked about this, I know I've talked about it as well, and I think James Welsh has talked about it too, is that all we can do is look at the ingredients and what's scientifically proven with the different ingredients. Like, we know what humectants do, we know what retinol does, we know what shea butter does, you know, we know what a lot of these things do. So we can just kind of parrot back what the research is behind those ingredients. And when we see those ingredients in an ingredient list, we can kind of say, hey, this product might do X, Y, and Z because it has these ingredients, which is more than we used to have before the internet. We didn't really have access to this information unless you went to a professional. So I think that's what, you know, myself and James Welsh and Hiram and other non-professionals that are giving skincare advice, it's just more of information. And I think that if you're taking it, I don't know. I mean, I guess it is kind of advice though. Like if you think about it, I'm just kind of like talking off the cuff here. Remember, this is very live, so I haven't had time to like process a lot of this and really come up with a solid like when I think of a new idea, it's like sometimes I need a little bit of time to process, fully wrap my brain around it. But this is kind of where I'm at right now, is just this like, you just kind of have to take it for what it is and recognize, well, see, the thing is, Hiram marketing himself as a specialist, I think a lot of people have a different idea of what a specialist is than what he means for it to mean. I don't think it means what you think it means. And I think that kind of warps people's perception of Hiram's ability to recommend skincare. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't have formal training. I don't know. Michelle says he presents in such a cocky manner, it's off-putting and a bit condescending, like his opinion is the be-all, end-all. Interesting. I haven't personally gotten that vibe, but I know you're not alone. Yeah. Cynthia says, but you call yourself an enthusiast, not an expert. Yes, I do. That's true. I would not call myself an expert. I wish I was an expert. I actually looked into being trained as an esthetician. There's no way I'm going to be a dermatologist at this point. I have no interest. My neighbor's daughter is going through dermatology school, and there's no freaking way I could ever be a dermatologist. Like all the things you have to go through, like it's not for me. It's not for me to be a dermatologist. But I would love to have her on the channel, by the way, one day. When she's done with her residency, I am bringing her on this channel if she'll let me, because you're going to love her, my neighbor's daughter. But anyway, my point is I would love to have like some kind of expert training so I could like learn enough to call myself an expert, but I don't think it's going to happen at this point. I don't. I would love to, though. Afresh says, I think the mixing idea is pretty fresh in terms of almost no new ideas are coming out lately. And I think with bronzer, I think it is a relatively, I mean, I can't remember a time I've seen bronzers like that, where it's like a mixing thing where you've got the light and the deep and you mix it with your bronzer in order to change the shade. I mean, somebody thought of it for lipsticks, but I hadn't seen anybody think about it for bronzer. So yeah, I mean, I think you have a point, Afresh. I don't mind that he tried that. Maybe he can look at the criticism and release a volume 2. I think so too. I think that's a great idea. And one of the most popular comments in my video was to do like half moon palettes, to do like 2 half moon palettes and have one be for lighter skin tones and one be for deeper skin tone. And ABH actually came up with a really good, I'm going to give them credit, at least in my opinion. You'll have to tell me if this affects you, whether this, I'm going to try to get a screenshot of it. If you feel like this was a good shade range for their bronzer palette, where is it? It was a new, maybe it was bronzer, individual bronzer shades. I want to show you because where's the ABH website? There it is. Oh no, that's see, these are not deep. Like when you go to the powder bronzers on Ulta's website, here we go. I'm going to go to the ABH website and click on see, the deepest one is not very deep. Like this is, I'm clicking on the deepest shade. Let me screenshot it and throw it up on the screen for you. Screenshotting, saving, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't have to have a real name because that takes too long. And let's insert that. This is the deepest shade of the ABH bronzer on their website. Where is it? Where's my blah, blah, blah? There it is. And I'm clicking it now. That's the deepest shade. And I feel like Manny's shade was deeper than that. Like, am I wrong? I mean, it's not saying that it's okay. I mean, ABH needs to do better too, but I feel like there was something else that ABH, oh, here it is. It was the cream bronzer. This is what I was talking about. It's their cream bronzer. Come on, wait a minute. I want to show you this because this is important. And if you're affected by this, this is really who I want to ask about it. Okay, and then let me insert it, and then I'll put it up on the screen. I think I forgot which one it is, all my weird letters. Come on, there it is. This is the deepest shade in ABH's cream bronzer, which is where I kind of expected Mandy's palette to go, was like there. So I don't know. I am not an expert in this, and I'm not an affected person, so I can only say so much. But yeah, I'm really curious about that. Sandra says, I'm genuinely confused by the lunar backlash. Do people want a palette with 1,000 shades? Yeah. I mean, I think that having mixers is a way to get 1,000 shades, right? But people don't want to have to mix. Like when you talk about like foundation mixers, like I use a deeper foundation mixer with a lot of my foundations in the summertime because it brings my foundations to the right shade, but people don't want to have to mix. They just want to have a shade made for them. Which, you know, and historically, deeper shades have not been represented. So I can see the frustration. And it's, you know, a lot more complicated than that. And we all know that it's so much more complicated and deep than that. This is interesting. Gretchen says, we have seen people go viral for their hater comments, hateful reviews, and creating drama. Sad but true. I think some people love to stir the pot. Yeah, totally. And I'm guilty of this too, you know, making videos specifically on a topic because, you know, it's clickable, you know, and there are definitely channels that their hater comments, hateful reviews, and creating drama are their most viewed videos on their channel. So why wouldn't they? You know, if that's what's going to give them popularity. So the only way to fight against that is just to not watch those channels and not watch those videos, right? So, I mean, that's a fair point. Oh my gosh, we are way past the midpoint. Let's take a little bit of a break. This coffee is called raspberry streusel or strudel. I forget what it is. I just opened it. I get all my orders. This is a Keurig tip if you do Keurig, because I know it's not the most eco-friendly thing, but if you do Keurig, if you go to Keurig's website and order your K-Cups from there and do them on like a shipment, it is so much freaking cheaper than buying it on Amazon or buying it in the store. Like go directly to Keurig and set up a delivery schedule, and you can set up to any schedule you want. You can do it like, I think it's like every 6 months if you want to. And they have so many flavors over there. I am not sponsored by Keurig. I just freaking love this setup. But like usually you'll pay for a K-Cup like 80 cents to $1 for one. It's so much cheaper on the Keurig website, just saying. But that's where I got this flavor. I can't remember what the brand is. But anyway, let's talk about what's on my face. So as you know, I've made lots of purchases lately. So we're trying a lot of the purchases. We talked about in What's Up in Makeup, I'm trying my Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Foundation. And this is the second time I've used it. First time I used it was for What's Been Makeup, and I used it just on a bare face, and it was breaking up on my skin. Like you could just see the texture of my skin, which I didn't like. This time I used it over the Sephora primer. It's the smooth primer. It's just like a silicone primer, and I do like it better, but it's not wowing me so far. And I'm like really surprised because the description on Lisa Eldridge's website sounded amazing. It was super freaking expensive. So I'm a little disappointed so far, but I'm going to keep trying it. All right, on my eyes today, someone in the comments when I did my Sephora haul said that these palettes were really good, these I Love palettes. That's what I'm wearing on my eyes today. Oh my gosh, they're really pigmented though. So you have to go in with a light hand and you have to blend because they're very pigmented, but this is what I used on my eyes today. I used all of the shades except for these two over here. I used these over here. Let me just do a little swatching for you real quick. We'll do... Oop, I ran out of space. And paper towel, staff. Okay, hold on a minute. I want to swatch the rest of them. Oh, come on. Really, Jen? I just got makeup all over my shirt. Okay. So there we go. These swatches suck, but you kind of get the point of what shades we're dealing with here. And they're fun. They're really fun. The only thing is they go on really pigmented, so you have to be careful. But other than that, really loving this so far. And loving the price point because I think it was like $15 or something even before I got the discount. Okay, other thing that I'm loving, the Sephora mascara. I was very surprised how much I'm enjoying this. But I'm still going to keep playing with it because I need to play with it. I need to let it live a little bit longer because mascaras can change formula as they dry out a little bit. Definitely more volumizing than lengthening though. Concealer. I want to show you the Sephora concealer. I've been using this a little bit more and very much enjoying this. Gloss. Okay, lips. So lips, this was sent to me. This was all purchased, but this was sent to me by BK Beauty. I used their lip pencil. This is in Warm Spice. And then I topped it with, this is purchased, the lip gloss from Glossier. And I freaking love this. Like, loving it so much. Oh my gosh. And then the blush I'm wearing today is the Sephora blush palette. This is the one I exchanged. Remember from my Sephora video, I got the blush palette and it was way too deep. So I exchanged it for this one. And this one's way better for my skin tone. This is the shade Enchant. And I used all of the things except for this guy up here. I didn't use this guy today. So actually let me swatch just because I can. La, 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 la. Oh, we have a new member. Let me make sure I get that in a second. Hold on. Let me just swatch these and then we'll say hi to our new member. Boop, 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 boop. This is definitely going to be limited for skin tone, but I think they have other palettes for other skin tones. This one's for mine. But yeah, it's not super like loud, which works for me for blush. And it is nice and buildable and I'm having fun with it. So more coming in favorites and fails eventually for these products. I'm sure you will see them. All right. So we have about 18 minutes left. We can keep talking about this or we can talk about other things if we want to. Okay. Kim says, watch Skeleton's review of Manny's palette. Okay, I will. Sandra says you can mix the shades in Manny's palette to get your right shade does not fly when there's no bronzer deeper than your own skin color. People need to think before they comment. Thank you so much, Sandra, for that insight. I really appreciate it. I have not seen that shade swatched. I'd be very curious to see what it looks like swatched just by itself. Because I want to see someone with deeper skin tone doing the thing. Like I want to see someone taking the bronzer shades and doing the thing, like doing the mixing. Does it work? That's what I want to know. But thank you so much, Sandra, because I think that perspective is the 100% most important perspective as somebody that's affected. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Joe says, I think if anyone looks up influencers on the internet and see that there are sites or Reddit threads specifically to tear them down and make fun of them and people are so mean, it says it all. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I've talked about that before. I'm not going to give that breath, but but yeah, I mean, and also those things are around. Like if somebody Googles, you know, Jaclyn Hill, they're going to find all of the drama and she can't escape that. But that was, I mean, she got herself into the situation. I guess it's like you make your bed, you got to lie in it. But I think she has a right to be upset about it. All right, there's a new member that I want to, I can't find it. There's so many comments. Oh my gosh, where is it? You all are, oh, there it is. There we go. Jennifer, thank you so much for becoming a member of the Elite. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. There are so many comments. I'm missing lots of things. Okay, Gabby says, I, on the other hand, am loving my Lisa Eldridge foundation. It is self-setting and you do not need powder. I do add some on my T-zone, but that's it. Yeah, I did not use any powder today. Zero powder. So yeah, I'm going to keep playing with it. I don't hate it yet. I don't hate it yet. Classically, Diana Jen, you haven't steered me wrong once with makeup, so I trust your judgment. Well, thank you. I learned my lesson with a Misha BB cream. I watched your review and still bought it, and it did not work for me. Yeah, it's kind of gray. They're weird shades. I still like it. It's a great formula. They're weird shades. Yeah, Donna says, I keep seeing people state that Hiram is claiming to be an expert, but I've only seen him call himself a specialist. In my honest opinion, a very subjective term is there's no universal definition of specialist. Yeah, I think some people see the term specialist as being misleading because of the way that specialist is defined in other areas. So I haven't seen him call himself an expert either, but I have seen him call himself a specialist, and I think that some people find that to be misleading. The I Love palette that I have is called, I don't know. It's the cool toned one. It just says Deep Cool Eyeshadow Palette. That's all it says. But there was another name, but it was like it's cool something. It's this one. I don't know. It doesn't say on there. Oh, what did Robbie say that was funny? Robbie says, "Are you 5 making pew pew sounds? I guess you got to have fun." I like saying pew pew sounds. It is fun. I think I talked about this in chat. What was it last week about how it's residual from being an elementary school teacher. But you know what? I think I made those sounds even before I was an elementary school teacher. It's just part of who I am. The pew pew sounds are not going anywhere. It's just me. I just do me. All right, Audra, let's be real. No matter what your skin tone, do you really want to mix your bronzer on the daily? I think not. Great point, Audra. Thank you, my friend. Nobody does. I don't like mixing it. Like the times that I have to mix my foundation, it's annoying. And to have to do that every single freaking time you want to do your makeup, it's annoying. Nobody wants to do that. I agree. Thank you so much for that. New member, thank you, Amy, for joining the elite. Thank you. It really helps so much. Thank you. Oh, I lost you. There you are. I like the pew pew. Let's keep it. It's fun. Melissa says, I want to try the Lisa Eldridge foundation, but I'm waiting until the sample packs come back in stock in my shade range so I can pick the right one. That's smart. That's very smart. Shay says, when I drive with my friend, she makes pew pew sounds to cyclists and as they pass them by just for fun. That's weird. Pew pew sounds for life. Katie says, yeah, mixing palettes are for working MUAs, not the average makeup consumer. I totally agree. And that's why I think like the comment where it was make 2 palettes, 2 Half Moon palettes, one that like, and then really test it on people of very deep skin tones, very light skin tones. You know what I mean? Like really test it. And I know Manny has to have access to people that can help him test it. He has to. His models are very deep skin toned. He's got to have access to be able to do that. Yeah. Hi, Jen from Jen Gerard. Jen from Jen Gerard. Jen from Gerard Cosmetics. Hi, Jen. Jen says, spot on, Audra. Why should POC spend time mixing when there are plenty of brands that make shades appropriate for them? Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Yep. Allison, my face would be 10 different shades if I had to mix powder bronzer. Think of how many times you dip a brush when applying bronzer. I would never get the same mix twice. That's a really good point. And I appreciate you all saying all of these things because in the comments under What's Been Makeup from last week, when we talked about this, there were a lot of people that didn't have the perspectives that you're sharing that were going the other direction with it. So I appreciate you sharing it to help people see that other side. So thank you so much for that. Angel says, my mother was an elementary school teacher that became an elementary school librarian. Her sound effects are top drawer. My favorite things growing up. You know, I had this idea, and somebody's going to steal this idea and make $1 million, was like a little keyboard that teachers can hang over their neck, right? and it's got buttons, maybe 10 buttons. And the teacher can program the sound that goes on each button. So you can be like, wah, wah, or yay, or pew, pew, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like whatever goes with their classroom, you can program it and then you just push the buttons. And you can play the sounds as you're teaching and it like hangs around your neck. So you don't have to hold it. Or you can lay it down, on your desk or whatever, or time's up, like you can, that was my $1 million idea that I never did. I have a lot of those.
Only 15 likes away from puppy time.
Oh, John says only 15 likes away from puppy time. So if you want puppy time, apparently we're liking the video for puppy time. That's a thing, apparently. I did not know. Now I know.
We're exploiting the puppy.
Well, I don't think the puppy cares that much. So Jennifer says, did Manny not test on different skin tones? Rookie mistake if so. And I would think that he did. He must have. Like what? He is like, huh?
That was really
Oh, now we crossed it. People here live crossed it. Good job, you guys. You did it. You did it. Yeah, Kimberly says, I don't understand why anyone wants one palette for all skin tones. It would never be able to use the deepest colors, so waste of money. And I think that even if you can't use the lightest tones or you can't use the deepest tones, if there's tones you can use, you can always use the rest for eyeshadow. But I personally really like the idea of doing the 2 palettes. But again, Manny said cost prohibitive. It may not have been, like doing 2 palettes may have been cost prohibitive for him. So, I mean, why... maybe wait until it's not cost prohibitive, and to do it right, wait till you got the money and then, release the 2 palettes. And then that way you only have a range that's better for you instead of half the palette things you can't even use, This is interesting. Donna says, saying someone acts like a specialist is bringing your bias to the table. If you don't personally know someone, what bias do you have from your assumptions about their intentions? I'm really confused. All right, let me read that again. Saying someone acts like a specialist is bringing your bias to the table. Acts like a specialist. I don't know. If I said that, I don't know what I meant by that in context. I feel like acts like a I think you either are a specialist or you aren't. I don't know if you can act like a specialist. Maybe I just said something I didn't mean. I don't know. Oh, they might be talking to somebody else. Oh, may not be talking to me. See, this is me being self-centered, thinking everybody's talking to me. If you don't personally know someone, what bias do you have to form your assumptions about their intentions? Yeah.
I think people are saying that Hiram calls himself a specialist, and there's confusion about what that means.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I don't know if you heard John, but he's saying he thinks there's some confusion about Hiram calling himself a specialist, and there's confusion about what that means. Hiram said what it means, but I don't think people like accept that explanation. Basically, like, I guess in Hawaii, that calling yourself a specialist means you have some training, even if it's just training under other professionals. And I do have a live stream that I did with him where he went through all of that. I think he's talked about it on his channel as well. But for some people, like a specialist, if you talk about like a specialist in other fields, I can't think of where you would be, I guess like a medical specialist or even a specialist in, a tech field or whatever, you have to have formal training in order to call yourself a specialist. And I think that's where there's confusion in that term specialist is used differently in different ways. And typically, correct me if I'm wrong, typically, in order to be a specialist, you have to have some kind of formal training in most fields, I would imagine. I could be wrong. So it's weird that in the beauty space, it doesn't, but I don't know. It is confusing, but I really do think him calling himself a specialist is what made him become more credible in the space. And I think that that's what helped him to rise to where he is. I think it's also his personality. I think that it's also, he's cute guy, and he's got a fun personality, but I do think that gave him extra credibility, which helped his channel to grow using that term specialist. So, oh, is it puppy time? I think it's puppy time. 55. All right, come here, baby. I don't know if I can. Okay. All right. Okay. That's just her ear. She's okay. You're dropping things, babe. Jenny Lynn says, for the skincare YouTubers who do call themselves experts or doctors, how do we not know they're lying about that? Did you ask to see their credentials? I think that's an interesting point because we don't know really when it comes down to it. I think that, you know, if they were ever found out to be lying about their credentials, they'd be in some big trouble. I got to put you up here, baby. You want to say hi? Come here. Okay, there you go. We'll put you up here and you can say hi. You're just don't, what is happening? She's too short. Hi, baby. This is my baby, Haley. She's actually 2. Here, you want to hold you like a baby? You like that? You like that better? Hold you like a baby? Is that better? She's a Cavalier King Charles and she's amazing. She's like a small dog, so she's like my baby forever. You are not happy, are you? See, we guaranteed puppy time, and now you're like not cooperating.
I'm sorry, we tried.
We're trying, but we have to.
Or maybe if I hold the puppy.
She'll probably like it better if you hold her because she likes you better.
We get puppy time and husband time.
There you go. Hi, babe. What do you think about all of this?
What?
I don't know. Do you have any opinions?
Oh, I have a lot of opinions.
Yeah. Anything that you want to share?
I think no.
No. Okay.
Not really. I think you guys pretty much covered it.
Yeah. Brenda Lee says specialist was a job title and he leans on it to seem authoritative. Yes, my old job might have called me a customer service specialist, but I was just a cashier. That's a good point. Just a cashier is a hard job, though. I give you credit. Just a cashier is not easy. There's a lot that goes into being a cashier. There's a lot. You got to know a lot of things, especially at a grocery store. My mom worked as a cashier at a grocery store for my whole childhood. That's a lot. That's a hard job.
I think on YouTube, you know, you have to do something that differentiates yourself from other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you can kind of clickbait people into getting those likes by specialist reacts to blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, you can only clickbait people for so long before they're like, oh, I know this guy's trick. He's not actually a specialist, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that there's plenty of people who stuck around, like, subscribed, come back, because they actually like, and I'm specifically talking about Hiram here, but this can go across the board for YouTube. You have to draw people in. And then if you're just a bullshitter and it's fake and it's all based on a title or a clickbait or something that you don't deliver on, then people go away.
Right.
But the fact is that he's garnered an audience. He's kept an audience. He's been successful. So he's doing something right.
Right. Beyond calling himself a specialist.
Beyond just, BSing. So yeah, there's people that are going to be mad about that because maybe they felt misled, but in reality, he's not technically misleading people. He's just differentiating himself, calling himself, like, instead of a cashier, a customer service specialist, these titles that we put on business cards and plaques and stuff like that. It doesn't make them wrong. Yeah. It doesn't make it a lie.
It was an angle.
It's an angle. Yeah. It's an embellishment or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like people stuck around. He's obviously doing something right. He gives out decent information based on stuff that he's researched, backed up by even, other professionals in the field. So you can be mad at him all day long, but what does it change?
It's true. I mean, it's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point. It's true.
That's my opinion of the day.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
We should have you just on the podcast. Like, this is a podcast. We should. Oh my gosh. Is she sleeping?
She's out.
She sleeps with her eyes open all the time.
Yeah.
I only have a problem with an influencer when they start telling you not to buy or support a product or brand because they don't like something they did or they have a personal issue with them. I think that that's a personal choice for every individual, whether you decide to support or not support somebody. I feel like that's a personal choice, and it's up to the individual person who they want to support and what they want to buy. It's our money. You earned it. You worked hard for it. You spend it how you want. Yes. Oh my gosh, Steph. You know what? I was thinking this yesterday and I forgot what I thank you for this. PSA, with the holidays coming up, please be as nice as possible to retail workers. It's already bad because of the pandemic. Please don't make it worse. Thank you, Steph. This is a great way, moderator Steph, to end chat, because that's a very important message. And not just the retail workers, but the people that are working in restaurants, people that are working in, anywhere that involves customer service. We're all we've been through a lot, and sometimes, we need something immediately, and it's hard to not be, it's hard to be, it's easy to be impatient and to forget that
Yeah.
that person has probably had a hard time too.
A simple compliment goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if it's something like, "Hey, I appreciate you being here."
Yes. We were just talking
Or,
about this
I
yesterday.
like your undercut. I like your nail polish. Like, even if it's something simple,
Right.
like it doesn't cost us anything
Yeah.
to just be like, "Hey, thank you."
Yeah. And like I was telling John had an experience like that at the mall yesterday. And when I went to Walmart not that long ago, and the greeter at the was, standing at the doorway. And before I left, I just looked at him in the eye, and I said, "I hope you have a wonderful evening." And he was like, "Thank you." Like no one had wished him a good evening for God knows how long, like how hard was that for me to just look at him and say, thanks so much. Have a great night. Like just little things that take 2 seconds and are 100% free,
Mhm.
So yeah. But anyway, thank you, Steph, for that. It's a great way to end chat. Thank you, John. And thank you, Haley, for joining. I appreciate you both so much.
Yes. All right.
I want to should I click on this comment real quick?
What? Oh,
I just want to say hi, Danny.
What's up, Danny?
Danny is a subscriber of both of our channels, and I just want to give Danny a shout out and thank him for all of the comments that he leaves on both of our channels. So thank you, Danny, for being here.
Yep.
All right. I am going to go, and John's going to go because we got stuff to do. Mad love to you. Have a great week. If you did not hear in WhatsApp and Makeup, chat time is going, and I didn't get a chance to talk to the moderators about this yet. They don't know?
They know.
They do know. Okay. So I am starting a new farmer's market the first week of December, and it's on Sunday mornings. So I'm going to be changing the chat time to an evening chat first Sunday of the month through the winter. And I don't know if I'm going to be working that market or what's going to be happening in the spring. I've only booked through the winter. So first Sunday of the month, we're going to be doing evening chats at 5 p.m. Eastern time instead. So hopefully you can join us for that. But I wanted to let you know, but I'm very excited. And I also have another very exciting announcement if you're still here because it's late. Should I tell you? I'm very excited. Okay. Mad Marshmallows, my marshmallow company, is going to be in a physical store starting right before Black Friday. And I'm getting emotional, but it's a store called Locally Crafted, and it is in Gaithersburg, Maryland. I'm going to be dropping off some product for them. I brought them some product taste a week or two ago, and they absolutely loved it, and they want it to be in their store. So I'm going to be selling, you'll be able to buy Mad Marshmallows in a physical store, and I'm so excited. So we've only been in business since the end of September, and we're already being sold in a store, which is freaking huge and amazing, and I'm really excited. So I'm finishing up their order now, and yeah, so it'll be there hopefully Tuesday or Wednesday. You'll be able to purchase it at Locally Crafted in Gaithersburg, Maryland. So I just figured I would let you know. I haven't announced it on socials. That's the first that I've mentioned it, so I figured I would let you all know first. But mad love to you. Have a great week. I'm gonna let you go because it's late, and I will see you in a video very, very soon. All right, bye.